Get BIN News now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Sing along to all your favorites when multi-Grammy winners Lady A take over Fantasy Springs Resort Casino May 16th for a night of non-stop country hits. Tickets on sale now at FantasySpringsResort.com.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
Reality is knocking on the Lakers' door with a very somber message. The Lakers simply aren't good enough and don't have a deep enough roster to deal with the Oklahoma City Thunder. OKC has a 2-0 lead in the best-of-7 semifinal after their 125-107 victory Thursday night. The Lakers played much better than in Game 1, but they never recovered from a demoralizing third quarter. With Shai Gilgeous-Alexander on the bench in foul trouble, OKC used a 22-4 run to erase the Lakers' 5-point lead. The Lakers committed 7 turnovers in the third quarter. Perhaps the most painful stat of the night was OKC's bench outscoring the Lakers' bench 48-20. Austin Reeves had a game-high 31 points and LeBron dropped 23, but the formula did not change. Reeves and LeBron did not get enough help. Game 3 is Saturday night at Crypto.com. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
Hi, I'm Zoe Williams, host of The Voice of Reason, weeknights at 7 p.m. here on KBLA Talk 1580, with a personal invitation for you to join me and Insight.me as we present The Healing Box, live at Inglewood's world-famous Miracle Theater, Saturday evening, May 23rd at 7 p.m. Look, I understand your attachment style has been running your life like a rogue algorithm, and nobody has had the courage to press pause. Until now, Dr. Pakoya McCall and yours truly are curating a night where clinicians, spiritualists, and an all-star panel of Black woman healers like Dr. Shalonda Sunshine Crawford, Dr. Jashana Johnson, and spiritualist Precious McGill will join some amazing spoken word artists and the legendary comedian Louis Dix to diagnose, disrupt, and heal your relational wreckage in real time. Listen, bring your trauma. As a matter of fact, bring your baby mama. No, bring your testimony. And if you're still texting your ex at 2 a.m., baby, you're not just invited, you're the target demo. Tickets are moving fast, so grab yours at themiracleinglewood.com before your dating history gets flagged as a pre-existing condition. That's themiracleinglewood.com. We'll see you there Saturday, May 23rd at 7 p.m.
Jackson Jr. Show. The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. KBLA Talk 1580. Download the app.
Jesse Jackson, welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. Welcome to Saturday Fridays on the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show, where we round up the week, discuss some of the pertinent issues that have mattered to our listeners, but also to our country. We provide both stimulation, motivation, and education right here at KBLA Talk 1580. In this hour, we are honored that Jonathan Allen, an American political journalist and analyst, is our guest. He's been a senior political analyst and political reporter for NBC News Digital since 2017. Allen has also reported for Congressional Quarterly, The Hill, Politico, Bloomberg News, and Vox. Allen's partnership with fellow political correspondent Amy Parnes resulted in 2 best-selling books on Hillary Clinton And in 2008, he won the Everett Dirksen Award and Sandy Hume Award. Allen has also appeared as a commentator on political talk shows such as Hardball with Chris Matthews and Meet the Press. He served as a political operative for the Democratic Party and as head of community and content for Sidewire from January 2016, the service's closure in June of 2017. Allen has taught as an adjunct professor at Northwestern University. Jonathan, welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show.
Congressman, good to be with you, and I haven't seen you recently, so please accept my condolences on the passing of your father, a legend throughout my lifetime, and someone who had such a meaningful impact on so many people across this country and around the world.
Jonathan, I appreciate that. Dad had great respect for you. He believed you were a straight shooter. He understood that you had an obligation to honesty and to integrity, but I know that he enjoyed your friendship and your partnership, and he took you very, very seriously. So thank you very much for the kind remarks about my father. I'm very grateful for that. Jonathan, there's so much I want to talk with you about. I almost don't know where to start with. And as of course, we have a hard stop, a couple of breaks in our show, and one of them is at the 11 mark in the hour. Jonathan, just before we came online, I was asking you how you're doing, and you said there was a lot to process in Washington, D.C., and yet all of it can't make the newspaper, it can't make the magazines, it can't make digital, but you make a judgment about what you determine to be fact or fiction, and then you're an award-winning reporter. Help those of us who are out here who've never won an award for reporting, how you make the judgment or determination as to what your perspective the people need to know and what they need to hear.
I think they might have gotten the wrong guy when they gave that award, but I keep it anyway. I think the way I approach things is that there's a lot of noise out there, and you have to figure out which of it matters. And then once you figured out which of the noise matters, which things you should largely ignore because they're not as important. Not that you don't, keep a bead on things, but you try to focus in on what you think are the most important stories, the things that are most helpful to do basic journalism. So I think of that as taking information from the smallest number of people, inside the halls of Washington, the White House, Congress, the administrative agencies. Find that small, that information that's with a small number of people and give it to a larger number of people, because I believe that helps our republic, helps our democracy thrive. And so you try to focus on the things that are going to matter most to people. And then once you're on a topic, you really try to talk to everybody that you can that's involved in that topic and make an assessment of, who's telling the truth, who's not, who may have particular interests in one direction or the other. And if you talk to enough people around a topic, you typically can get to the nut of it. And that's, what I try to do every day.
John, that's really interesting because, as you know, we're live on the 405, the 101, the 5, the 10, the 118, and the 110 right now in Los Angeles, California. I'm in Williamsburg, Virginia, but we're broadcasting live in Los Angeles, California. So that's 12:10 in the afternoon, therefore the rush hour traffic. And I take into account that there are people who are listening to KBLA Talk 1580 at this hour, because when I'm in Chicago producing the show, it's 2:10 in the afternoon. And we've been discussing, for example, the Voting Rights Act of 1965, the Calais decision. We've been watching Justin Pearson. We've been listening to Benny Thompson out of Mississippi. We've been watching very closely what's happening in the district with respect to Jim Clyburn. We're also trying to sort our way through the affordability issues, some of which are, in fact, most of which are at this moment uniquely tied to the Strait of Hormuz and whether or not the price of gasoline is going down. But ultimately, one of the trusted sources in journalism is obviously Jonathan Allen. Are we wrong in trying to sort through all of it at the same time, given the very nature of who and what is actually being responsible and feeding news to the nation? That question we're going to answer more substantively when we come forward on KBLA, and I'd like your insight on what's going on in Washington. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr., one of the nation's leading political reporters, if not the nation's leading political reporter for NBC News. None other than Jonathan Allen is our guest right here at KBLA Talk 1580. More when we come forward.
It's afternoon drive time with Jesse Jackson Jr. Only on KBLA Talk 1580.
In a world full of noise, one station keeps it real. KBLA Talk 1580, where the conversation goes deeper, the voices sound like yours, and the issues that matter most to our community take center stage. Progressive, powerful, unapologetically us. Whether you're driving through this city or tuning in from your home or office, join the public square. KBLA Talk 1580. Your home for talk that enlightens, encourages, and empowers. Listen live on our free KBLA 1580 app, on our website at KBLA1580.com, or on your radio dial at 1580 AM.
Unapologetically progressive.
Hi, I'm Zoe Williams, host of The Voice of Reason, weeknights at 7 p.m. here on KBLA Talk 1580, with a personal invitation for you to join me and Insight.me as we present The Healing Box, live at Inglewood's world-famous Miracle Theater, Saturday evening, May 23rd at 7 p.m. Look, I understand your attachment style has been running your life like a rogue algorithm, and nobody has had the courage to press pause. Until now, Dr. Bakoya McCall and yours truly are curating a night where clinicians, spiritualists, and an all-star panel of Black woman healers like Dr. Shalonda Sunshine Crawford, Dr. Jashana Johnson, and spiritualist Precious McGill will join some amazing spoken word artists and the legendary comedian Louis Dix to diagnose, disrupt, and heal your relational wreckage in real time. Listen, bring your trauma. As a matter of fact, bring your baby mama. No, bring your testimony. And if you're still texting your ex at 2 a.m., baby, you're not just invited, you're the target demo. Tickets are moving fast, so grab yours at themiracleinglewood.com before your dating history gets flagged as a pre-existing condition. That's themiracleinglewood.com. We'll see you there Saturday, May 23rd at 7 p.m.
Spring is showing up and showing out. Give your yard its own moment with limited time deals from Lowe's. Grab select 1.5-gallon annuals hanging baskets, 2 for only $15. Plus, we've got Miracle-Gro 0.75 cubic foot garden soil, 5 bags for just $10. A little dirt, a little color, and we are so back. Our best lineup is here at Lowe's. Valid 5/7 through 5/13. Selection varies by location. Excludes Alaska and Hawaii.
Lots of places can expose you to identity theft.
Oh, no.
That's why LifeLock monitors hundreds of millions of data points a second for threats to your identity, which is way more than anyone can do on their own. If we find anything suspicious, like new loans or changes to your financial accounts, we alert you right away, all through text, phone, email, or the LifeLock app. Get the alerts that could make all the difference. Save up to 40% your first year with promo code NEWS at LifeLock.com. Terms apply.
There's a lot of uncertainty in the world right now. Things are changing fast and no one knows what comes next. Times like these make you realize just how important it is to be prepared. That's where My Patriot Supply comes in. They're America's #1 most trusted resource for survival food, solar power, water filtration systems, and more. Go to preparewithamerica.com to unlock a special offer that'll help you get ready for whatever comes our way. Go to preparewithamerica.com to see the special offer right now. That's preparewithamerica.com.
Now back to more of Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. 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 King Folly, drop the beat. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. KBLA Talk 1580. Download the app.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. You're at the Jane Lunch Club, and we are on Fat Meat Fridays with the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show right here at KBLA Talk 1580. Jonathan Allen is our very special guest. I will be giving various forms of his introduction over the course of the show. But our question that I wanted to begin with was how Brother Allen sorts through the news. For example, just 57 minutes ago, the United States fired on 2 Iranian flag tankers. As Marco Rubio says, the U.S. expects a response on the peace deal that he and the president have offered. That seems to me like that's the response. They fired on 2 Iranian flagged tankers, and therefore there's not likely to be a peace deal. With that said, Jonathan, you've been obviously covering the president's talk about a ceasefire, talk about ending the war, suggesting even weeks ago that we had already achieved our objectives and victory. Jonathan, how do you cover the problems in the state of Hormuz with Iran, with Israel, and project it in a way that the American people can hear it and understand that they do have choices to make?
Whew. It's a huge question. It's the right question.
Take your time. If you need a Jack on the rocks or enjoy.
Maybe I'll do what Mr. Clyburn does with Jack Daniels and Diet Pepsi. Seems to have served him well. Look, I think there are a lot of different pieces of it. One is, what is the United States' interest in being at war with Iran? The president says it's to deny Iran the capacity to get a nuclear weapon. He tore up the deal that President Obama and several other nations created with Iran. It was called the JCPOA. I can't even remember what that stands for, but basically said Iran had to give up its nuclear ambitions for a certain number of years, and the U.S. then eased sanctions on Iran. President Trump tore that up. He said it was a bad deal. Now we see him trying to create another deal with Iran to push off its nuclear ambitions, and his argument is basically that he's bombing them to the table, to the negotiating table. So far, what we have seen is no progress on that front in terms of getting them to make a deal. It seems very unlikely that Iran will actually give up its nuclear ambitions, no matter what they put on paper, because they know that they are a much more serious player and harder to attack if they are nuclear armed. It is not clear right now how long it would take them to get to that stage. There are other pieces to look at. Under the Constitution, as you well know, former member of Congress yourself, and somebody who has spent a lot of time with that document, Congress is supposed to declare war. And short of declaring war, Congress can authorize a president to go to war. And Congress has done neither of those things in this case. The president has powers under the War Powers Act to conduct a war for 60 days without the approval of Congress. And the White House has basically taken the position that this ceasefire, to the extent that it is actually a ceasefire, is basically the end of one war. And if they start bombing again, in large amounts, that will be a second war. Which is hard, I think, for a lot of people to believe on its face. But I think I go back to that original question. What is the U.S. goal here? And it is not clear to me that the president, outside of trying to prevent Iran from getting a nuclear weapon, has been clear about what the goals are there, what is an acceptable end to that war, how the United States would get out of that war. And it certainly appears that they did not take into account or did not calculate enough the risk of Iran retaliating by essentially choking the world's oil supply. You mentioned gas prices. It's not just the prices people pay at the pump, and I feel sorry for your listeners on the highways in Los Angeles, because I know they left their house at 8 a.m. and will get to their destination at 8 p.m. But it's not just those gasoline prices. It's the price of all the goods that you get that require gasoline or jet fuel to get from one place to another. So once the shipping costs go up, then the price of goods goes up. If things are stuck, if items are stuck at sea, then the demand goes up and the supply is choked and prices go up. So, the long-term risk of the Strait of Hormuz being shut off is a real one.
Let me pivot for just a moment, because I remember when Pete Hegseth and the President of the United States, I believe they were speaking to scores of generals at the Pentagon in what many of us were left scratching our heads saying, what are they talking about? And what's up with all the bravado from Hegseth? And Donald Trump, I think the most glaring statement that he made on that occasion was the war within, the enemy within. And he pivoted from the idea of international conflicts to the idea that his retaliation, revenge campaign here in the United States would be taking on another level of engagement. Why he chose the generals to deliver that message to still baffles me, because beyond ICE, we haven't seen the presence that such a speech would have dictated, unless there's something in front of us that we haven't seen yet. I can speak based on some of my knowledge of history, not because I've had a communication with a member of Congress about it, but there's grave concerns, Jonathan, that means that the president could very well have American troops at polling places throughout the United States in the midterms. Is there any concern in the media that this could be, well, a red line that the president is going to cross that no recent president has crossed since the inception of the nation?
It's certainly something that that we've heard a lot of concerns about, that there are worries about that. We've seen testimony from Trump administration officials suggesting that that Democrats had deployed troops to polling places during previous elections, and that's just not the case, at least not in any recent previous elections. There were National Guard deployed in some states for other purposes on election day, cybersecurity, things like that, but not actually to polling places. I mean, it's hard to know what's going to happen until it does happen, but I don't think that there's been a rush by the administration to suggest that it won't. And so, we hear the concerns, but again, it's very difficult to prove that something will happen. And so we have to treat that as, from a story perspective, you treat it from the perspective that there are people who are concerned about this and concerned that it could have an effect on elections, particularly a potential chilling effect on voters if that happens. But then again, we'll have to see. We'll see what happens in the midterms. I can't imagine that the American public would be happy with soldiers at polling places. And that extends beyond the party that is out of power at any given time. Certainly extends to people who are politically independent, and probably extends to portions of whatever the majority party is. So whether you're talking about Republicans in control now, or if Democrats were to do the same thing, there would be not only Republicans who didn't like it, but also some measure of Democrats who didn't. It's anathema in American, in modern American history, I should say, because our history is rife with bad things that have happened at polling places. But in modern American history, it's not something that we've seen, and it's not something we're accustomed to. And I think it's not something that the majority of Americans are comfortable with. And it's not that they don't believe in the military or they don't have faith in the armed forces. It's a matter of what the leadership of the armed forces is seeking as a political end from stationing troops at polling places, if that happens.
I appreciate that, Jonathan. Listen, I'm in Williamsburg, Virginia. I just got back from a very close and dear friend's son was graduating from Hampton University. The keynote speaker was Congressman Bobby Scott, who, to the graduates of that particular class, was sounding an alarm about civic responsibility, about voting, about the Louisiana versus Callis decision. We saw Justin Pearson just yesterday in Tennessee, and the state of Tennessee is now marching, even as we speak, on the state capitol because of the elimination. The governor signed legislation to eliminate the 9th congressional district. I know you knew Congressman Harold Ford Sr., Congressman Harold Ford Jr., Congressman Stephen Cohen. You know that Benny Thompson put up fulfilled his constitutional responsibilities over the Department of Homeland Security. Now there's talk about eliminating in South Carolina the district of James Clyburn. the anxiety amongst African American members of Congress has to be very high. And I'd like to hear any thoughts that you have on how the Voting Rights Act and its decision is being covered by members of the media, what you're hearing from men and women who are mostly affected by it, and the quality of representation that might be going a little bit too far for a political reporter that we can expect in the future from diluted districts.
Yeah, let me take that from the only place I can, which is reporting on this issue over a number of years. Basically, over the last dozen years, the Voting Rights Act has been gutted. First with Section 5, which is the pre-clearance section, which said certain parts of the country had to pre-clear. And I know you know, Congressman, but for the listening audience, Section 5 said that certain parts of the country had to pre-clear any changes to their voting laws because of their history of discrimination at the polls, particularly racial discrimination at the polls. A lot of that was in the Deep South, but not all of it was. You had Brooklyn and the Bronx and Manhattan were also covered by Section 5. So in 2013, the Supreme Court basically reversed that and said none of these places need to get pre-clearance to change their voting laws. And then just last week, the Supreme Court, with the Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act, made it a lot harder to base the drawing of congressional boundaries on race. It's not impossible, but the bar is a lot higher. And what the result of that is going to be, we're already seeing that, is Republicans seeking to turn Democratic districts, specifically in the South, in Louisiana and Tennessee, you mentioned South Carolina potentially, take Democratic districts in southern states and make them Republican by taking supermajority black districts in terms of the constituency and breaking them up and moving out those constituencies of interest, splintering their power among the other districts. And it's interesting, in the 1990s round of redistricting, one of the ways that Newt Gingrich helped Republicans engineer take over the House was essentially a deal where they created a lot of supermajority black districts in the South. And
that was interesting.
Right?
I remember that there was a strange alliance between Newt Gingrich and the Black Caucus because we were getting greater representation under his scheme.
That's right. You got a higher number of black members of Congress and a higher number of Republicans under the Newt Gingrich model. In the short term, what you're likely to see is fewer black members of Congress and more Republicans over a very short period of time. But you would think that over time, that unwinding what Newt Gingrich did would basically result in more white Democratic members of Congress, basically Democrats winning some of the districts where black voters are splintered, but absolutely fewer black members of Congress. And this would also affect the Hispanic community for majority minority Hispanic districts. We aren't going to see that yet, but that'll be the next frontier. And if you are looking for representation, and if you believe that representation matters and racial representation matters, then you've got to look at what happened over the last dozen or so years at the Supreme Court and say that that's not, it's not helpful for that representation. And to the point of Congressman Scott, who I've known for quite some time, elections have consequences. You can ask Ketanji Brown Jackson what the election of Joe Biden meant in terms of consequences, and you can ask Brett Kavanaugh and Amy Coney Barrett and Neil Gorsuch what the 2016 election of Donald Trump meant in terms of consequences of elections.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Jonathan Allen is an award-winning senior national political reporter, senior political reporter for NBC News from 2017 to the present. He's our guest this hour on the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. More on KBLA Talk 1580 when we come forward.
It's afternoon drive time with Jesse Jackson Jr. Only on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Amber Payton with BIN News Now. Influencer Sophie Hall returned to the witness stand in her lawsuit against former Miami Dolphins wide receiver Tyreek Hill. Hall claims Hill, who is black, broke her leg during football drills at his Southwest Ranches home in 2023.
I lose my breath and I immediately collapse and fall on my butt.
Hill denies the allegations and says she tripped over a dog. The NAACP is filing an emergency petition to block Tennessee's new congressional map. The map, signed by Governor Bill Lee, splits the state's only majority black congressional district in Memphis and could help Republicans gain another House seat. And San Francisco is honoring baseball legend Willie Mays with a newly named Willie Mays Highway. The stretch of I-80 runs from Treasure Island to downtown near Oracle Park. Mays, one of Major League Baseball's early black stars, began in the Negro Leagues, spent most of his career with the Giants, and was inducted into the Hall of Fame in 1979. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Sing along to all your favorites when multi-Grammy winners Lady A take over Fantasy Springs Resort Casino May 16th for a night of non-stop country hits. Tickets on sale now at FantasySpringsResort.com.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
Reality is knocking on the Lakers' door with a very somber message. The Lakers simply aren't good enough and don't have a deep enough roster to deal with the Oklahoma City Thunder. OKC has a 2-0 lead in the best-of-7 semifinal after their 125-107 victory Thursday night. The Lakers played much better than in Game 1, but they never recovered from a demoralizing third quarter. With Shai Gilgeous-Alexander on the bench in foul trouble, OKC used a 22-4 run to erase the Lakers' 5-point lead. The Lakers committed 7 turnovers in the third quarter. Perhaps the most painful stat of the night was OKC's bench outscoring the Lakers bench 48-20. Austin Reeves had a game-high 31 points and LeBron dropped 23, but the formula did not change. Reeves and LeBron did not get enough help. Game 3 is Saturday night at Crypto.com. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
If you love to travel, Capital One has a rewards credit card that's perfect for you. With the Capital One Venture X card, you earn unlimited double miles on everything you buy. Plus, you get premium benefits at a collection of luxury hotels when you book on Capital One Travel. And with Venture X, you get access to over 1,000 airport lounges worldwide. Open up a world of travel possibilities with the Capital One Venture X card. What's in your wallet?
Terms apply. Lounge access is subject to change. See CapitalOne.com for details.
This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
Hi, I'm Zoe Williams, a.k.a. the Voice of Reason, encouraging you to join me weekdays from 7 to 9 p.m. for the world's most intriguing relationship radio roundtable. Every night, I facilitate and encourage our loyal listeners to participate in the most engaging relationship discussions you'll hear anywhere. So make it a point to rendezvous with me, Zoe Williams, the Voice of Reason, Monday through Friday, 7 to 9 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Trust me, your relationships will never be the same. The VOR is on fire tonight.
Unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black.
My name is Cynthia Mitchell. I've been an emergency room nurse in Los Angeles County for 25 years. I've been there through every fire season, every outbreak, every earthquake. Every time Los Angeles needed us, the doctors and nurses of Los Angeles County showed up. And right now, I'm seeing another disaster coming. Trump's cuts to Los Angeles County's healthcare system are a public health crisis in the making. Medi-Cal, public hospitals, disaster preparedness are all at risk, but we can stop it. Measure ER fights back against these cuts. For a half a penny, we keep emergency rooms open, care within reach for working families, and doctors and nurses serving the communities we love. When you vote yes on Measure ER, you're not just voting for health care, you're voting for LA. Vote yes on Measure ER by June 2nd.
Ad paid for by Yes on ER, Restore Healthcare for Angelinos, sponsored by St. John's Community Health and Health Justice Action Fund. Ad committee top funder, St. John's Community Health.
Tired of traffic? Metro D-Line runs Wilshire now with 3 new stops from downtown LA to Beverly Hills. No parking, no stress. Metro D-Line, the faster way across LA.
The joint will be jumping. Ebony Repertory Theater, in association with Big Street Films, brings you one of the most beloved musicals of all time. Tony Award winner, Ain't Misbehavin'. The soulful, swinging celebration of the music of Fats Waller. From the rollicking to the romantic, this show is pure magic, full of the songs that defined an era and the voices that'll make you forget everything else for a night. Foot-stomping, heart-stirring, unforgettable. Don't miss Ain't Misbehavin' at the Nate Holden Performing Arts Center, starring Lettucey, directed by Ren T. Brown. This is the night out you've been waiting for. Tickets are going fast, so don't wait. Grab yours now at ebonyrep.org or call the box office today at 323-964-9766. Ebony Repertory Theater, bringing the culture, keeping the legacy alive.
Ain't Misbehavin' runs May 21st through June 8th at the Nate Holden Performing Arts Center. Get your tickets now.
You're listening to Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. 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 King Volley, drops the beat. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. KBLA Talk 1580. Download the app.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. It's Fat Meat Fridays right here on the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. In the second hour, Diallo Brooks and, of course, our regular host, Gina Towns, our producer and creator of the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show, will be joining us and our reflection for the week right here on the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. But in this hour, I am particularly honored that Jonathan Allen, my very good friend, is joining us. Jonathan is senior political reporter for NBC News 2017 to the present. His previous roles include Washington bureau chief for Bloomberg News, White House bureau chief for Politico, and reporter for Congressional Quarterly and Vox. His education included having graduated from the University of Maryland in 1998. He's the winner of a number of awards, including, but not limited to, he's a best-selling author, 2 various books, and adjunct professor at Northwestern University teaching a class on presidential politics in their Washington program. Jonathan, welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show.
Thank you, Congressman.
And thank you for blessing me with this hour and our listeners on the 405, the 101, the 5, the 110, the 118, and the 10. And if you're on Ventura or Sepulveda or in Gardenia or the Hills, we are in a real classroom with how reporting is actually done in the modern era. Jonathan, you know, this is the midterms, and I think about the war in the Middle East, even though they don't want to call it a war, but that's exactly what's taking place from my perspective. I think about the challenges to the Voting Rights Act, which has anxiety very, very high amongst many African Americans. But I don't hear much in the midterms about what Congress is doing to improve the lives of the American people, which for the 17 years that I served there, we really doubled down on getting our agenda done so that we could go back home and, Jonathan, have something to run on, to talk about the things we've done in the midterms. What am I missing here? Has the press corps not paying attention? Is the Congress do nothing? What's going on here, John?
Congress isn't doing jack. I mean, we're talking about record level chaos in the House of Representatives right now. You're seeing more votes where the speaker loses than I can recall at any time. I mean, you served, I believe, at a time when the Republican floor leader was Tom DeLay, who was very good at not losing votes, and the Democratic floor leader was Nancy Pelosi, very good at not losing votes when she was, in her 2 terms as speaker, and certainly very good at rounding them up in the minority when she was in the minority. That's not the way it works anymore. The Republican leadership in the House has a very narrow margin. as did Tom DeLay back in the day, by the way, very narrow margin. And they're finding it very difficult to pass legislation. They're finding it difficult to prevent, though they have so far, to prevent the House from invoking the War Powers Act to stop this war, or to at least do the House's piece of that. The president got his one big beautiful bill last year, what they call the one big beautiful bill, and you're going to hear Republican incumbents talking about that on the campaign trail. They're going to talk about tax cuts. They're probably specifically going to talk about items like no tax on tips that they believe are popular with a lot of voters and may bring people back. But and tell me, obviously, you've got a better perspective than I do on this, but I don't remember a lot of voters saying thank you for what you did 2 years ago. Usually voters are saying thank you in the very immediate past.
What have you done for me lately?
Or please, often please, what are you going to do for me? And there's not a lot on that agenda right now. And President Trump has frankly been far more interested in foreign policy than he has been in domestic policy. I think that's one of the reasons you've seen his approval ratings slip. Right now, you can go from poll to poll, any of the ones that have measured it, over the years. They're in slightly different places, but what is clear is that he's about 5 points lower in approval rating today than he was the month before the midterm elections in 2018. So, one of the polls I was looking at was a Fox News poll that had him 5 points further back now. And for Republicans to go on the ballot in the midterms with a president who has a low approval rating, and certainly lower than he did, and I should mention those midterms in 2018, Democrats had a huge wave election where they took control of the House. For him for Republican candidates, that is a huge drag on their ability to hold their seats for the incumbents, and a huge drag on the challengers who are trying to come in.
What I remember, and I may be wrong, but you're probably a better historian to what's actually happening in Congress on a daily basis than I am. What I remember is the party in power, meaning control of the White House, usually loses seats in the midterm. And we would double down on working with President Obama or President Clinton to ensure that the messaging that emanated from the Congress while we were running in the midterms did the least amount of damage to our control, or with a goal towards picking up seats. My sense is that Republicans in Congress are not working with the president on a domestic agenda. They are following whatever his whims are on a daily basis for his own justifications for whatever it is that he's engaged in. And its consequences in this particular midterm could be, it could be catastrophic for the party in power.
Yeah, I mean, your memory's right, Congressman. The typical thing that happens is that a president loses seats in the midterms right after he wins election. So 2 years after he wins election, he loses seats in the midterm. I think, to your point, this may be exacerbated by Trump because he has such tight control, and because he has such a penchant for retribution against anyone who crosses him. We saw this with Indiana state legislators last week, where the Indiana state legislature decided not to do redistricting, and the White House political folks and the Trump allies outside spent a lot of time, energy, and money supporting primary challengers to Republican incumbents in the Indiana state legislature at a time when Republicans are facing an uphill battle to keep the House of Representatives. It was a shocking decision to spend that time, but what it does is it sends a message to all the other Republicans that if they step off the line, they're going to find the president backing somebody else in their party. And so, for the purposes of a chilling effect, I think it was very impactful.
No, I think that's right. I think that, however, the House of Representatives is a different ballgame. I mean, everybody becomes the king of their own little territories or the king of their own little hill. Do you sense any movement by some Republicans, other than the obvious ones who either left the House to distance themselves from the president because maybe his message is not working in their districts?
Well, we're seeing it actually from Congressman Tom Massey in Kentucky, and he's essentially a libertarian Republican, libertarian leaning, very conservative. He's not a fan of this war. He pushed the White House and the Justice Department to open up the Jeffrey Epstein files, and has made an enemy out of the president, who is now trying to get him unseated in a Republican primary. And so the rest of them watch that, and I think the ones who are, most artful as politicians try to find places where they can distance themselves from the president on issues that he doesn't care as much about. And I think he's willing to let them do that to some extent. But on the issues that are central to his agenda, they will either walk in lockstep, or they will wake up in the morning and see that he's gone to social media to tell the world what a terrible person they are.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr., listening to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. We have a couple more questions of Jonathan Allen when we come forward in our final segment. And maybe from a number one political reporter at NBC News, a word of hope to all constituents and to all Americans as we close out the hour. Jonathan, thank you for being our very special guest. Looking forward to our final conversation in just a moment. More on KBLA Talk 1580 when we come forward.
While you're stuck in traffic, we can at least bring you up to speed on the news of the day. You're listening to Jesse Jackson Jr. only on KBLA Talk 1580.
Let's be real. For too long, too many of our students have sat in overcrowded classrooms in underfunded public schools.
But as head of the San Diego School Board, Richard Barrera changed that.
Under Barrera's leadership, student literacy rose from the state average all the way to #1 among major urban school districts. Barrera led the way for smaller classrooms and for teachers to be paid what they're worth.
Barrera funded more counselors and mental health services, and community schools that teach real-world skills for future jobs.
A community organizer who became an education leader to fight for our kids. The only candidate for State Superintendent of Public Instruction,
backed by the 310,000 classroom educators of the California Teachers Association. Vote Democrat Richard Barrera for State Superintendent.
Ad paid for by California Teachers Association Independent Expenditure Committee, not authorized by a candidate or committee controlled by a candidate.
Hi, I'm Fred Martin, founder of Compton Kids Club. I just want to talk about the authenticity and tell y'all about my homeboy, Tom Steyer. Tom is a rock star. When I met him, Tom gave a grant to schools in San Francisco. All the kids were on probation. We were flying instructors for 2 years to come and help those kids doing performing arts and turning their life around. Some of the kids that he supported, they've graduated from UCLA. Let's fast forward. Tom is in schools in Compton, hanging out with the kids in the piano classes. Brother Tom Steyer hangs out in the studio with us. These are the seeds that he's planted. This has nothing to do with elections. What's coming out of his mouth is not a campaign speech. It's authentic. And when he say he walks away from a business because he want to do his values, he ain't making that up because he's running for governor. This man is real.
Ad paid for by Steyer for Governor 2026.
Hear that? That's the sound of your life. Perfectly imperfect. Beating in rhythm to the world you've created. But every time you drive after drinking, music gets drowned out. Your life sounds pretty great. Don't let a buzz ruin it. Buzz driving is drunk driving. Don't drive buzzed. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. These are hard times for housing in America. Too many in our community face barriers to safe housing, behavioral health care, and affirming spaces for healing, particularly those impacted by poverty and stigma or incarceration. Rooted in South LA, Ahmad supports impacted communities through housing, wellness, and leadership development. Ahmad provides culturally responsive, peer-led support from transitional housing and mental health services to leadership development and youth empowerment. They offer safe, affirming houses for youth, transgender women, and formerly incarcerated individuals. Therapy and peer support with a focus on healing trauma in Black communities. HIV prevention and care, free testing, education, and wraparound services for whole person wellness. Standing in the gap with health, housing, and hope. Reach out to Ahmad Institute Institute at 323-569-1610. That's 323-569-1610. Or visit amaad.org. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Knock, knock, Capital One Bank guy.
Wow, Charles Barkley?
I just moved into the neighborhood. Can I borrow some Wi-Fi?
Sure, Chuck. That's what the Capital One Cafe is here for, open 7 days a week.
Oh, can I use your ATM? My dog walker only takes cash.
Anything for a neighbor.
Can I try the catchphrase?
Sure, take it for a spin.
There's no fees and minimums on Capital One checking accounts.
Nice, Chuck. I'll take it from here. Capital One, what's in your wallet?
Terms apply. Visit CapitalOne.com/bankguide for details. Capital One and a member FDIC.
Now back to more of Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. 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 King Quality drops the beat. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. KBLA Talk 1580. Download the app.
It's Fat Meat Fridays on the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. You're listening to the J Lunch Club on the 110, the 118, the 10, the 5, the 101, and the 405. You're listening to us on the Dan Ryan, the Bishop Ford Freeway in the city of Chicago, the Edens, and the Kennedy. I'm so grateful that Jonathan Allen is our very special guest in this hour. Jonathan is the leading and award-winning senior national political reporters analyst for NBC News Digital, joining in 2017 to cover the White House, Congress, national elections. A #1 New York Times bestselling author, Allen frequently appears on MSNBC and News Now, specializing in deep dive reporting on presidential campaigns. Jonathan, welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. I think you're muted, Jonathan.
Glad to be forward.
Hey, listen, I'm sure you probably did not recognize yourself in that introduction, so I thought that might be the reason that you're muted, but it is you, Jonathan. Hey, let me share with you some anxiety that's going on in the Black community, largely around our representation, and some of the reporting that has been done by Black Voters Matter includes, but not limited to, the idea that over time, we could lose at least half of the Congressional Black Caucus. Some have even suggested in the Black Voters Matter reporting that we could lose 191 African-American, Hispanic, male and female state representatives as a result of the Robinson decision. So this is something that I proposed this week on our show. I'm going to keep pushing it. And now that I've had this conversation with you, I'm going to keep pushing you. That is, usually the South Carolina primary takes place in February of the presidential election year. And of course, we do an annual, I think I've seen you there, an annual commemorative march across the Edmund Pettus Bridge with the presidential candidates.
I'm well aware of the event. I've not actually done it.
Oh, I thought you did. Okay, with John Lewis and others who marched across the Edmund Pettus Bridge. It's the commemoration of Selma to Montgomery. But I'm trying to advance in the civil rights community. This year is unlike any others. And the idea of a presidential debate in South Carolina before the South Carolina primary, where African-American voters are coming into contact with the potential Democratic nominee for the first time, or the group of Democratic nominees, that there ought to be such a contest. Why not, from my perspective, at South Carolina State University? They're in the news a lot over rejecting a MAGA governor to speak at their commencement. And then the Selma to Montgomery campaign, which, as you know, as a result of the death of Jimmy Lee Jackson and the service of John Lewis, Martin Luther King Jr., and others, led to the Voting Rights Act of 1965. It culminated in Montgomery. And the idea that Democratic candidates, from our perspective, and recognizing that you are nonpartisan, that you're respected by both sides of the aisle, that you call the shots as straight as possible, I hope it makes sense to your supervisors and to your media platforms that a presidential debate in South Carolina and a presidential debate in Montgomery at the conclusion of what John Lewis heralded commemoratively from the moment he entered the Congress of the United States to the present, that you might consider joining a panel of journalists interrogating, if you will, the presidential candidates in 2027, both in South Carolina and in Montgomery, because the gravity of our losing representation on the scale that we could lose it couldn't be greater as we head into the 2028 season. And given that you are objective and respected for your objectivity, I'm going to throw out there the idea that I would love to see Jonathan Allen and the platforms that he is on give some consideration to the advanced planning for such an event. What do you think about that, Jonathan?
I'm not a decision maker in terms of where the broadcast media choose to locate things, but I'm happy to pass along the suggestion, and I think I understand the meaning of it, so I can pass it on with the context around it that you've provided now, and sort of my own thoughts. But again, I'm not a decision maker. I do think that we have seen debates before in South Carolina, particularly in the 2020 Democratic primary debate in South Carolina. I think it was a big moment for Joe Biden in winning that primary. And he made that promise to, I mentioned Ketanji Brown Jackson, Justice Jackson, earlier. He made a promise that he was going to nominate a black woman to the Supreme Court in that debate. And it was something that Congressman Clyburn had pushed him to do behind the scenes, demanded really that the president do. And I don't think if South Carolina had not had its place on the primary calendar, or had Congressman Clyburn not done that, had black voters in South Carolina in particular not been such a big force in determining Democratic nominees, that you wouldn't have had a presidential candidate make that commitment, or even necessarily have thought that was an important thing for them to do. So you can see, whether you're a fan of that kind of politics or you dislike that kind of politics, you can see the effect of it. In order to win a Democratic primary, for the last, for basically my whole lifetime.
Since Jesse Jackson changed those rules and brought the South Carolina primary forward.
That's right. And the Democratic nominees of the recent past, Barack Obama, Hillary Clinton, Joe Biden, have been able to unify black voters in South Carolina behind their campaigns. And as a result of doing well in South Carolina and among those black voters have unified black voters across the country for their campaigns. And so South Carolina has had a special place in determining the Democratic nominees. And like I said, I don't think Ketanji Brown Jackson is a Supreme Court justice today, if not for those factors.
Jonathan, I'm pushing for you to be a very integral part of the idea of these two primary debates, and I'm going to spread that amongst everyone that I know. That's not going anywhere. Jonathan, very, very quickly, we've got about a minute and 45 seconds before we close. Imagine for a moment that as a senior journalist that you are the commencement speaker at one of the nation's leading journalism schools with the attacks on the First Amendment. What do you tell the graduating class?
Keep reporting. Our job is to find important stuff out that nobody knows and tell them. And don't worry about the attacks, the political attacks that we take, which we do. Just do your best to ignore them and keep doing your job. It's kind of like what I would tell a basketball ref.
Call the shots right.
Of course, when I'm watching as a fan, I want them to call for my team. I thought there was a great irony in J.J. Redick being angry at the refs because, he went to Duke and got all the calls when he was at college.
Jonathan, thank you for being on our show.
Take care.
Appreciate you, brother. Jonathan Allen has been our very special guest on the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. One of the most credible reporters in Washington, D.C. from my perspective. He's always called it honest. He's always called it fair. And even in my own cases, he told the truth. And it is what it is. I can live with that and still call him my friend. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. listening to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. More when we come forward on Fat Meat Fridays with Gina Towns and Diallo Brooks right here on KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Amber Payton with BIN News Now. Influencer Sophie Hall returned to the witness stand in her lawsuit against former Miami Dolphins wide receiver Tyreek Hill. Hall claims Hill, who is black, broke her leg during football drills at his Southwest Ranches home in 2023.
Lose my breath and I immediately collapse and fall on my butt.
Hill denies the allegations and says she tripped over a dog. The NAACP is filing an emergency petition to block Tennessee's new congressional map. The map, signed by Governor Bill Lee, splits the state's only majority black congressional district in Memphis and could help Republicans gain another House seat. And San Francisco is honoring baseball legend Willie Mays with a newly named Willie Mays Highway. The stretch of I-80 runs from Treasure Island to downtown near Oracle Park. Mays, one of Major League Baseball's early black stars, began in the Negro Leagues, spent most of his career with the Giants, and was inducted into the Hall of Fame in 1979. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
Reality is knocking on the Lakers' door with a very somber message. The Lakers simply aren't good enough and don't have a deep enough roster to deal with the Oklahoma City Thunder. OKC has a 2-0 lead in the best-of-7 semifinal after their 125-107 victory Thursday night. The Lakers played much better than in Game 1, but they never recovered from a demoralizing third quarter. With Shai Gilgeous-Alexander on the bench in foul trouble, OKC used a 22-4 run to erase the Lakers' 5-point lead. The Lakers committed 7 turnovers in the third quarter. Perhaps the most painful stat of the night was OKC's bench outscoring the Lakers bench 48-20. Austin Reeves had a game-high 31 points and LeBron dropped 23, but the formula did not change. Reeves and LeBron did not get enough help. Game 3 is Saturday night at Crypto.com. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
You have something to say, and we want to hear it. KBLA Talk 1580 is engagement radio, not outrage radio. A place where your hopes, your frustrations, and your ideas are welcome 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Real talk, real people, real Los Angeles. KBLA Talk 1580, the station that sounds like the city looks. Tune in on your AM radio dial at 1580. Download our free KBLA 1580 app or listen live on our website at KBLA1580.com.
Unapologetically progressive.
The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. 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 Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. KBLA Talk 1580. Download the app.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. It's Fat Meat Fridays, and Fat Meat is always greasy on the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. Our creator and contributor, Gina Towns, is with me here in this hour. We do have a special guest, a regular contributor who'll be joining us momentarily. Gina, welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show and Fat Meat Friday. I am going to share more about Gina in just a moment. But Gina, how are you doing? Gina's not going to say anything, no matter how much I ask her to say something.
I had to get my mic on and my camera on. Jesse, it has been a long week. I don't feel no ways tired, but it definitely has been a long week.
Gina is the founder and president of 519 Productions and executive producer of the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on Smiley Audio Media's KBLA Talk 1580. She's also the host of Reflectivity on our weekly radio show, Fat Meat Fridays, as well as every show from Moving Mountain Mondays to Tenacious Tuesdays to Thought-Provoking Thursdays. I think Wealthy Wednesdays, Thought-Provoking Thursdays, and Fat Meat Fridays.
I don't know how Todd is going to.
Gina, while I have you for this first segment, interesting conversation with Jonathan Allen.
That was a great conversation.
Your thoughts on Jonathan's?
I really like Jonathan Allen. I was rolling in the scroll. If you could not see the show, I hope you will go back and view it on Facebook and or on YouTube. And you can see what the visual was for that show and every show every day, Monday through Friday here on KBLA, the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. But back to Jonathan Allen. He's a great guy. I mean, he just seems like a genuinely sincere, nice guy. But
he's the one regular guest that comes on our show where I actually want to have a beer or a cigar in my hand and actually just kind of kick it and enjoy it.
I hope, Jonathan, if he is still listening, I'm going to tell a secret because, you know, I can see our guests when the commercials are playing. And every time the commercial went away, he was getting his cigar on. He was so happy. Friday afternoon, I'm not mad at him.
But on the serious subject matters, I mean, you heard today how he sorts through the news and just how much it actually is overwhelming, the press corps in Washington, D.C. Your initial thoughts about that, G?
You know, there's a certain shock that I think that the press has to still be in a little bit. Like, I would imagine that if I had spent a number of years in the White House press room listening to the press secretary tell the stories of the day, and then all of a sudden you're not welcome. All of a sudden you're a villain. And I really can kind of relate as a former lobbyist. I lobbied in the billboard industry. I did government and community affairs. And sometimes I would go to hearings in different places around my territory. You know, people like what they like, and they come to hearings to tell you what they got to tell you, and they're angry. And I remember one time in Missouri, we're like, "You're a crack dealer." I said, "Crack dealer?" You know, so that kind of shock coming at you from the press corps or the press desk, you know, to the core, singling you out as being someone less than your journalistic integrous self is really a lot. I admire the job that they do, the research that is required to do it and do it well. And when it is done well, that is the best thing for our country. And as you always remind everyone, the First Amendment and its rights really drive the American economy.
You know, I'd like to see, if I can pivot for just a moment, I'd like to see Jonathan Allen. I'd like to see Charles Blow. I'd like to see Don Lemon, both men who've been punished by the First Amendment under Donald Trump for their, from my perspective, objective and excellent journalism. Really interrogate the Democratic candidates. I mean, so much has been lost. How does a Democratic presidential candidate or the Democratic nominee, or if elected in 2028 to begin service in 2029, how does a president sort through the myriad of things that need to be fixed as a result of this administration? Are there going to be 150 or 200 executive orders that are already prepared that have been vetted so we can get started? Are we going to see the John Lewis Act move as quickly as possible in the first couple of weeks as part of the president's agenda? Are we going to restore the SNAP benefits program and expand the Affordable Care Act to include vision, dental, and hearing, which is certainly the fastest and best way to make the program even more popular? Will there be a cut in the military budget in order to pay for the dreams that we have as a nation? A significant reduction from what Donald Trump has done by offering a budget of $1.5 trillion that, for whatever reason, continues to grow every year to the exclusion of these programs. G, it seems to me we ought to have that conversation in South Carolina and in Montgomery.
Absolutely. I think that people are just going to have to stand up. And what I really wish is that those people who may have a different ideological perspective than what you and I may have, or the next person, if we could just still consider each other as neighbors, and that we would still listen to each other. Because what I thought about while you were talking is the journalistic threat that the Congress feels as well. You wake up one morning and somebody's running against you, or you are a bad guy in the press because the president has said this about you, or as a journalist, it's the same thing. It's the same kind of oath that journalists take, that medical doctors take, in the oath to uphold the truth and report it to the people, and to be a neutral voice and just telling the facts. And I think we are really in danger there too.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr., listening to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. It's Fat Me Fridays. We're with our creator, Reflectivity, with Gina Towns. More when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580 in just a moment.
It's afternoon drive time with Jesse Jackson Jr. Only on KBLA Talk 1580.
Hi, I'm Zoe Williams, host of The Voice of Reason, weeknights at 7 p.m. here on KBLA Talk 1580, with a personal invitation for you to join me and Insight.me as we present The Healing Box, live at Inglewood's world-famous Miracle Theater, Saturday evening, May 23rd at 7 p.m. Look, I understand your attachment style has been running your life like a rogue algorithm, and nobody has had the courage to press pause. Until now, Dr. Pakoya McCall and yours truly are curating a night where clinicians, spiritualists, and an all-star panel of Black woman healers like Dr. Shalonda Sunshine Crawford, Dr. Deshauna Johnson, and spiritualist Precious McGill will join some amazing spoken word artists and the legendary comedian Louis Dix to diagnose, disrupt, and heal your relational wreckage in real time. Listen, bring your trauma. As a matter of fact, bring your baby mama. No, bring your testimony. And if you're still texting your ex at 2 a.m., baby, you're not just invited, you're the target demo. Tickets are moving fast, so grab yours at themiracleinglewood.com before your dating history gets flagged as a pre-existing condition. That's themiracleinglewood.com. We'll see you there Saturday, May 23rd at 7 p.m.
If you love to travel, Capital One has a rewards credit card that's perfect for you. With the Capital One Venture X card, you earn unlimited double miles on everything you buy. Plus, you get premium benefits at a collection of luxury hotels when you book on Capital One Travel. And with Venture X, you get access to over 1,000 airport lounges worldwide. Open up a world of travel possibilities with the Capital One Venture X card. What's in your wallet?
Terms apply. Lounge access is subject to change. See CapitalOne.com for details.
Lots of places can expose you to identity theft.
Oh no.
That's why LifeLock monitors hundreds of millions of data points a second for threats to your identity, which is way more than anyone can do on their own. If we find anything suspicious, like new loans or changes to your financial accounts, we alert you right away, all through text, phone, email, or the LifeLock app. Get the alerts that could make all the difference. Save up to 40% your first year with promo code NEWS at LifeLock.com. Terms apply.
There's a lot of uncertainty in the world right now. Things are changing fast and no one knows what comes next. Times like these make you realize just how important it is to be prepared. That's where My Patriot Supply comes in. They're America's #1 most trusted resource for survival food, solar power, water filtration systems, and more. Go to preparewithamerica.com to unlock a special offer that'll help you get ready for whatever comes our way. Go to preparewithamerica.com to see the special offer right now. That's preparewithamerica.com.
Now back to more of Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. 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 King Wally drops the beat. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to the me. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to the me. KBLA Talk 1580. Download the app.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. We are at Fat Meat Fridays. This is the J Lunch Club. And if you're traveling on any highway in the city of Chicago, in the city of Los Angeles, you know we're right here on Fridays from 12 to 2 p.m. PST, 2 to 4 p.m. CST, and 3 to 5 p.m. right here on the East Coast, because today we are in Williamsburg, Virginia, heading back to Chicago on Sunday, where we'll be reporting live from the city of Chicago. Gina, welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. Gina is the creator of the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. She is also the president and founder of 519 Productions. She co-produced an Emmy Award and nominated documentary, Hampton University, One of the Wonders of the World. And as a songwriter, co-producer, and performer, her hit single, Yes, hit number 26 with a bullet on the Billboard chart. But today she's just a very proud mother because she attended the graduation of Hampton University. And tell us more, G.
So, if you don't mind, Jesse, I'd like to introduce Diallo because I do want to talk about that just a little bit more.
Well, how about your son's graduation first?
I'm going to talk about it because you know what?
What?
Congressman Robert R.C. Bobby Scott brought the noise at that graduation, and I want to talk about it, but I want Diallo to join us.
Hi, Diallo. Welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show.
Thanks for having me as always.
Oh, you know you're always welcome to be here. Diallo, Brooks is, with over 25 years of experience in social justice and civil rights, has been a pivotal figure in promoting policies that foster safe, healthy, and thriving communities. He currently serves as the founder and CEO of Civic Vision Strategies, a strategic consulting firm empowering organizations through transformative leadership development and community engagement strategies. More on Diallo's biography over the course of our show. Diallo, again, welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show and Fat Meat Fridays with Gina Towns. Gina, Diallo's all out.
Okay, the first thing I need to do is listen to this clip. Congressman Scott gave a word, as I knew that he would. Can you roll Congressman Scott?
And while we wait for Taz to roll Congressman Scott, which will be coming to us momentarily, it was powerful because I can only imagine that dozens of African-American members of Congress and state legislators are traveling all around the country at this hour, delivering commencement addresses. I'm traveling back to Chicago on Sunday, where I'll be speaking at a commencement address on Wednesday as well. And we are going to be hovering around what it means for Second Reconstruction essentially to come to an end and the advent of a Jim Crow 2.0. Taz, are we ready? Okay, Gina?
Got it, so.
Diallo?
Hey.
Robinson versus Slay. The decision has been devastating to the idea of African-American representation. Your initial thoughts, Diallo?
Well, it's a very devastating decision, and I've actually had conversations with folks in places around the country about this. This decision it was actually not really funny, but ironic that I was doing a radio show in Florida the day before the decision, talking about Florida's efforts to dive into the redistricting fight as well. Changing and eliminating predominantly Black districts in the state of Florida. And we're seeing that happen all over the country. But this is also a consequence of voting. You know, we always talk about voting and why votes matter, why elections matter. This is another example. The president appoints, the Senate confirms Supreme Court justices. And when we don't participate at the numbers that we need to participate, and we allow the opposition to control the narrative in spaces that have lasting impact on our lives. And so, you know, the only thing we can do now is really organize, push back where we can, you know, take action like some states like Virginia have to really change the direction that we're going in and to protect our democracy.
Gina?
Absolutely. You know I want to play this clip. I've got it. I'm just going to play it right here, if you don't mind.
Go right ahead, Gina.
Okay. Diallo, check this out.
Some of you in the audience, nonprofits, startups, small businesses, and large corporations. But regardless of what comes next, our nation needs you to stay strong and stay involved. Being active in the citizens means more than just voting. It means following the news, attending city council and town hall meetings, contacting your elected officials, even running for office yourself. Only works if we stay informed and stay engaged. It requires constant participation in activities. And we may not be able to fix everything overnight, but we won't fix anything if we give up. Let's look at how we improved and expanded healthcare. We've been working on that for decades, and after World War II, President Truman proposed a comprehensive national healthcare plan, but he was not successful. 2 decades later, we're able to enact Medicare for seniors and Medicaid for low-income Americans, but obviously there was still
I can stop it right there. I think you got the gist that Bobby Scott did not give a fluffy speech to students who are 22, 21, 23 years old. He came to say, here is the world that you're graduating into. And there's no need to cry about the spilled milk. There's a lot you don't know, but here's history. And you need to go and find out more about this history. And here's what you need to do. You need to become engaged immediately, no matter what your career is, no matter what you've majored in here at Hampton. As you step off this campus, you now have a responsibility. And I knew he was going to do it. And it was the message that needed to be delivered. And I really wish that message could be delivered at every school, whether it's an HBCU or whether it is a majority institution where there are a lot of Black kids, Hispanic kids, and Asian children. Because I thought about the fact, and they're not children, I'm sorry, but, this affects a lot of people across the board, and you may not see it immediately for other communities, but you're going to see it.
Gina, let me just add this. Diallo, unlike any other graduating class since the founding of historically Black colleges and university, most of which came at the end of first Reconstruction and just before the beginning of Jim Crow. And a shout out, by the way, to all of the presidents of historically Black colleges and universities who have labored to deliver graduating class after graduating class that have largely expanded the Black middle class, especially Dr. William Harvey at Hampton University, one of my father's close and dear friends. If you can hear our voice, please know that we are praying for you, we are standing with you, and we are so proud. He is now President Emeritus of Hampton University. But I want to be clear here, Diallo, for this graduating class, consistent with what Gina has said, this was a commencement and a commencement address unlike any other. Diallo Brooks.
Oh, definitely. Talk about commencements. I just attended my daughter's graduation ceremony from the Mecca, the HU, Howard University in Washington, D.C. She just graduated.
Mecca.
Well,
Don't have your egg fried.
I was going to say, hey, Jesse, ask your frat. Right. But no, in all seriousness, I was just at her graduation ceremony, and they'll have the larger commencement on Saturday. But the keynote speakers, and actually even the student speakers that were a part of that occasion, elevated the point that this is extraordinary times, and it's going to take extraordinary effort by everyone to step in the gap. It's unfortunate. It's sad that our young people have to be leaders in this moment of such turmoil, but I think they are built for it. I think they have gotten the tools from these institutions to do the work. And I think those of us that are their parents and their family and their friends and support systems that have been long in this fight will continue to be a part of this and help push forward with them as we create the world we want to see.
Chief?
So for our listening audience, I have posted a picture of Representative Justin Jones yesterday in the Tennessee House. He burned a Confederate flag. And feel however you might want to feel about it. Justin Pearson, Justin Jones, and legislators around the country are put in a position right now where they must speak up. Because not only are they speaking up for their seat, but they're speaking up for the people that they represented, the people who sent them there. Justin Pearson's brother was arrested yesterday. And what I found so fascinating, the next picture that you will see is the Tennessee Republicans laugh at protesters as they gerrymander maps. And if you can just see this, I mean, there's a certain level of lack of compassion, lack of empathy, lack of humanity, and an inability to work with one another and to sit up and laugh about people losing their representation, because I don't care how hard you try. I don't know what it is to be a white woman, and there's no white woman that knows what it is for me to be a Black woman. And so we need each other. We need to hear each other's stories. We need to have people who stand on the floor and talk about why things that they are important. They need to be able to hear what is said behind the closed door so that we can live in communities and continue the progress that was made from the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendments, the Civil Rights Act of 1964, and the Voting Rights of 1965. We're long overdue for some more process.
I agree with that, Chief. I want to add that when we think about the term gerrymander, and we think about drawing these districts and drawing these lines, Diallo, we have to take into account that America has had a history of racial segregation, that Jim Crow divided water fountains, it divided schools, it divided churches, it divided every facet of American life, and Black people ended up living on some side of town somewhere because white folks didn't want to live with us. We played golf somewhere where white folks didn't want to play golf. We went to movie theaters somewhere where white folks didn't want to come to our movie theaters. So our movie theaters, our golf courses, our housing, our schools ended up in certain communities without representation. Until the lines were drawn in such a way as to give us representation so that we can fight for what? Equality amongst our schools or amongst our hospitals or amongst our streets and our roads. I'm thinking in this moment that while white legislators in Springfield in Tennessee are laughing at the idea of gerrymander, the great tragedy is they are laughing at what they've allowed to happen and what their ancestors allowed to happen, forcing our system to be even more separate and unequal. Diallo?
Yeah, I mean, you've hit the nail on the head, but the question I would ask is, do they care? Right? They're about shepherding power. This is a reminder to us all that this is about power. And until we organize in a way, until we fight in a way, until we push in a way where we align those that are righteous-minded together across ethnicities, we're going to be in this fight for a long time.
You're on the 405, the 101, the 5, the 118, the 10, or the 110. What's happening right now is it's 73 degrees right outside of your car window. You're riding with the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show and Fat Meat Fridays, our regular contributor and creator, Gina Towns, as well as Diallo Brooks. More on KBLA Talk 1580 with Diallo when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
It's afternoon drive time with Jesse Jackson Jr. Only on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Amber Payton with BIN News Now. President Trump is honoring mothers who have lost children ahead of Mother's Day.
And we have a lot of the greatest people on earth, angel moms. They're with us today. They're great people. They've been through so much. And
Speaking from the White House Rose Garden, he hosted mothers of children killed by illegal immigrants and mothers of fallen service members while highlighting his administration's immigration actions. Here's a renewed push to get late Florida journalist Mabel Norris Reese inducted into the Florida Women's Hall of Fame. Reese investigated the Groveland 4 case involving 4 black men falsely accused of raping a white teen in 1949. Supporters say her reporting helped overturn the convictions despite threats, including a burning cross on her lawn. And Baltimore's Black Mayor Brandon Scott delivered remarks at a street naming ceremony honoring Tupac Shakur. The mayor also presented a proclamation recognizing Tupac's impact and his time in Baltimore. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Is this the time? This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
Reality is knocking on the Lakers' door with a very somber message. The Lakers simply aren't good enough and don't have a deep enough roster to deal with the Oklahoma City Thunder. OKC has a 2-0 lead in the best-of-7 semifinal after their 125-107 victory Thursday night. The Lakers played much better than in Game 1, but they never recovered from a demoralizing third quarter. With Shai Gilgeous-Alexander on the bench in foul trouble, OKC used a 22-4 run to erase the Lakers' 5-point lead. The Lakers committed 7 turnovers in the third quarter. Perhaps the most painful stat of the night was OKC's bench outscoring the Lakers bench 48-20. Austin Reeves had a game-high 31 points and LeBron dropped 23, but the formula did not change. Reeves and LeBron did not get enough help. Game 3 is Saturday night at Crypto.com. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio that's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
I'm Reverend Gerald, the life coach. Is someone you love struggling with addiction and mental illness? Is improving your family's health important? Want to leave a legacy that your family can grow? Are you ready to enhance your perception of life experiences? Then wake up weekends at 7 a.m. with Urban Family Focus and get the wisdom, opportunity, resources, and motivation to live your best life. Join the conversation on Urban Family Focus Saturday and Sunday at 7 a.m.
Unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black.
Let's be real. For too long, too many of our students have sat in overcrowded classrooms in underfunded public schools.
But as head of the San Diego School Board, Richard Barrera changed that.
Under Barrera's leadership, student literacy rose from the state average all the way to #1 among major urban school districts. Barrera led the way for smaller classrooms and for teachers to be paid what they're worth.
Barrera funded more counselors and mental health services, and community schools that teach real-world skills for future jobs.
A community organizer who became an education leader to fight for our kids. The only candidate for state superintendent of public instruction.
Backed by the 310,000 classroom educators of the California Teachers Association. Vote Democrat Richard Barrera for state superintendent.
Ad paid for by California Teachers Association Independent Expenditure Committee, not authorized by a candidate or committee controlled by a candidate.
The joint will be jumping. Ebony Repertory Theater, in association with Fig Street Films, brings you one of the most beloved musicals of all time. Tony Award winner, Ain't Misbehavin'. The soulful, swinging celebration of the music of Fats Waller. From the rollicking to the romantic, this show is pure magic, full of the songs that defined an era and the voices that'll make you forget everything else for a night. Foot-stomping, heart-stirring, unforgettable. Don't miss Ain't Misbehavin' at the Nate Holden Performing Arts Center, starring Lettucey, directed by Ren T. Brown. This is the night out you've been waiting for. Tickets are going fast, so don't wait. Grab yours now at ebonyrep.org or call the box office today at 323-964-9766. Ebony Repertory Theater, bringing the culture keeping the legacy alive.
Ain't Misbehavin' runs May 21st through June 8th at the Nate Holden Performing Arts Center. Get your tickets now.
Spring is showing up and showing out. Give your yard its own moment with limited time deals from Lowe's. Grab select 1.5-gallon annuals hanging baskets, 2 for only $15. Plus, we've got Miracle-Gro 0.75 cubic foot garden soil, 5 bags for just $10. A little dirt, a little color, and we are so back. Our best lineup is here at Lowe's. Valid 5/7 through 5/13. Selection varies by location. Excludes Alaska and Hawaii.
Lots of places can expose you to identity theft.
Oh no.
That's why LifeLock monitors hundreds of millions of data points a second for threats to your identity, which is way more than anyone can do on their own. If we find anything suspicious, like new loans or changes to your financial accounts, we alert you right away, all through text, phone, email, or the LifeLock app. Get the alerts that could make all the difference. Save up to 40% your first year with promo code NEWS at lifelock.com. Terms apply.
There's a lot of uncertainty in the world right now. Things are changing fast and no one knows what comes next. Times like these make you realize just how important it is to be prepared. That's where My Patriot Supply comes in. They're America's #1 most trusted resource for survival food, solar power, water filtration systems, and more. Go to preparewithamerica.com to unlock a special offer that'll help you get ready for whatever comes our way. Go to preparewithamerica.com to see the special offer right now. That's preparewithamerica.com.
You're listening to Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. 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 King Volley drops the beat. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. KBLA Talk 1580. Download that.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. It's Fat Meat Fridays right here on KBLA. You're listening to the J Lunch Club right here. And Gina Towns, our creator, is our co-host on Fridays. Gina, welcome forward to the show.
Thank you, Jesse. And
I'm so grateful that Diallo Brooks is joining us. He is one of our leading advocates, education consultant, strategic alliance consultant, one of the most sought after voices and consultants in this space. And I'm so grateful that Diallo is with us. Diallo, welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show.
Thank you, Jesse. Thank you, Gina.
Hey, and congratulations to your daughter graduating from HU. We don't know if that's Hampton University or Howard University, but when he hinted at Nick, I guess that's Washington, D.C.'s Howard. Anyway, congratulations to your daughter, and congratulations to you, Gina. You still haven't said anything about your son graduating from the other HU today.
Juan Darby.
Are you a proud mama?
I am a proud mama. He is a graduate of culinary Lake Cordon Bleu when he graduated from high school, and then he went to serve the United States in the U.S. Marine Corps. Injured there and decided to go to Hampton to get an undergraduate degree, and he has now been accepted at William and Mary to get a Master of Law.
Oh, fantastic. Well, congratulations.
Absolutely.
Yeah, tell us about your daughter's aspirations.
Yeah, so she got a degree in psychology, and she has plans to go to medical school. Not sure which school she's going to go to yet, but she's
Gina says Morehouse School of Medicine. I'm sure she's graduating at the top of her class. I'm sure she's capable of going to medical school anywhere she wants to go, and I'm sure she's going to be accepted at just about any school on earth. But let me tell you something. It's still true that when you learn in a majority experience, like at an HBCU, particularly during your formative years, you meet friends. You're not just a number on the campus. You get to meet friends that are your friends the rest of your life because you go through something together in that formative years, in the formative years that you're growing and that you're learning. And you're not constantly, while studying, fighting racial battles. Do you belong here is something that right here on the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show, Diallo, we've had some of the top professionals who are African Americans in their fields, and almost to the letter and to the name, almost each of them have always said that people look at them like they don't belong there. They ask them, are their opinions certified? Are they qualified? That happens regularly on our show, doesn't it, Chief?
Absolutely.
I mean, these are women and men with both medical degrees and PhDs, far more education than most of their contemporaries, and yet they are looking at 40 and 50 and 60 years old at young doctors who look at them like they are the DEI representatives at major hospitals and clinics throughout our country. It is really, really tough in the profession right through here. That's your experience too, Chief?
Absolutely. And I, in this moment, thought about how casually we talked about these graduations today and what our children, our generation, even Gen Z, though they've graduated, a lot of them have from college, we have spoken in a terminology and with a tone like everything's going to be all right. This is just the next day in what we're living through. But the truth of the matter is they have a real challenge before them. They no longer have people who can look to something on the books in corporate America to say, well, I really want to make sure that we have the best and the brightest from every community where we do business. And that's important because I remember being at 3M, and when I was leaving that company before me, everybody in the industry knew that I was not being promoted because I was Black and a woman. And the chief legal counsel for my division asked me to go to lunch at 3M. And he was recruiting me. And I was like, wow, this guy is asking me to come and work for them. And he says, you know what, Gina, I hope you will consider this because I, as a white man, will never know your experience as a Black woman. We are an international company and we need everybody's perspective at the boardroom table. And to your point, Jesse, what you just said, they don't think they need every perspective. And you will have some people who have a conscious party, but we really need to be supportive as a community of all of our children. We have to now adopt all of the children. Be big brothers and sisters.
I think that's clear. I think that's clear. Diallo, mentorship is a big part of this game as we enter a new phase of Jim Crow.
It definitely is. It's mentorship and it's continued education. Folks have to understand and draw a through line intergenerationally because our struggle is intergenerational. And younger folks have to understand that there are and have been generations that have gone through very, very difficult times and banded together, worked extremely hard to overcome and create better spaces for us. And cyclically, there emerge challenges that all of us have to face together. And we need to be very supportive of younger generations, making sure that they have the tools, but also stepping back and listening to them as well as they bring new ideas and new perspectives to this fight. And, I'm confident that our young people will step up. I know they have. I know the narrative is not always that. But I'm confident that in this moment, there's a realization that's happening in this country about how important politics, small p, is around, shaping the way we function in this country.
Chief?
Yeah, the way that we function has to be a little bit different. And I think that you can extract some of the old, some of the new, and come up with something that can work because there is something to be said about wisdom. There's something to be said about faith. There's something to be said about the humility that does sit down and listen one to another. And, we have to create those spaces. And Diallo, that's why we did it at Civic Vision Strategies. And you have your new book out called Bold, Quiet Warrior. It sounds like you've written something about yourself.
Yeah, so I had the opportunity to write actually 2 books. It's a series. It's Bold Quiet Warrior Volume 1 and 2. The first one is really about my leadership journey and just connecting people to lean into their own leadership journey and who has supported them. And then the second one is really focused on Black men specifically in leadership positions, particularly within movement spaces and the need for Black men to be in civic movement spaces.
You know, I'm particularly proud of Diallo because Brother Brooks, his mother worked at the Rainbow Coalition under the leadership of my father in, I want to say, the 80s, the 90s, right in that space. And I want to thank you for the work that you did in our office in the 2nd Congressional District, as well as your continued leadership and advocacy that matters. And I just want to say that these are very difficult times. I'm thinking in this moment that if I were a Negro and I was in Congress and I was backslapping all my colleagues, hey colleague, hey distinguished gentleman from this, knowing full well that I'm leaving Congress soon because of redistricting and that the Negro will probably be delivering more Phoenix-like speeches. This will be our temporary departure from the Congress of the United States, but one day we will rise again and we will return to the houses of representatives. That has got to be a difficult thing for people who've been backslapping and proud to be in certain places when the hammer falls on our representation. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. More on KBLA Talk 1580 when we come forward.
While you're stuck in traffic, we can at least bring you up to speed on the news of the day. You're listening to Jesse Jackson Jr. only on KBLA Talk 1580.
My name is Cynthia Mitchell. I've been an emergency room nurse in Los Angeles County for 25 years. I've been there through every fire season, every outbreak, every earthquake. Every time Los Angeles needed us, the doctors and nurses of Los Angeles County showed up. And right now, I'm seeing another disaster coming. Trump's cuts to Los Angeles County's healthcare system are a public health crisis in the making. Medi-Cal, public hospitals, disaster preparedness are all at risk, but we can stop it. Measure ER fights back against these cuts. For a half a penny, we keep emergency rooms open, care within reach for working families, and doctors and nurses serving the communities we love. When you vote yes on Measure ER, you're not just voting for healthcare, you're voting for LA. Vote yes on Measure ER by June 2nd.
Ad paid for by Yes on ER, Restore Healthcare for Angelinos, sponsored by St. John's Community Health and Health Justice Action Fund. Ad committee top funder, St. John's Community Health.
Let's be real. For too long, too many of our students have sat in overcrowded classrooms in underfunded public schools.
But as head of the San Diego School Board, Richard Barrera changed that.
Under Barrera's leadership, student literacy rose from the state average all the way to #1 among major urban school districts. Barrera led the way for smaller classrooms and for teachers to be paid what they're worth.
Barrera funded more counselors and mental health services, and community schools that teach real-world skills for future jobs.
A community organizer who became an education leader to fight for our kids. The only candidate for state superintendent of public instruction,
backed by the 310,000 classroom educators of the California Teachers Association. Vote Democrat Richard Barrera for state superintendent.
Ad paid for by California Teachers Association Independent Expenditure Committee, not authorized by a candidate or committee controlled by a candidate.
Did you know about 1 in 3 people with plaque psoriasis may also develop psoriatic arthritis, which causes joint pain, stiffness, and swelling? Does this sound like you? Listen to what it sounds like to be a million miles away. Tremfya, guselkumab, taken by injection, is a prescription medicine for adults with moderate to severe plaque psoriasis who may benefit from taking injections or pills or phototherapy, and for adults with active psoriatic arthritis. Serious allergic reactions and increased risk of infections and liver problems may occur. Before treatment, your doctor should check you for infections and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor if you have an infection, flu-like symptoms, or if you need a vaccine. Imagine being a million miles away. Explore what's possible. Ask your doctor about Tremfya. Visit Tremfya.com or call 1-800-526-7736.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 joins you in standing for voting rights. The midterm election campaign season is here now. The 2028 presidential election is right around the corner. When We All Vote is a leading national nonpartisan initiative on a mission to change the culture around voting and to increase participation in each and every election by helping to close the race and age gap. Created by Michelle Obama, When We All Vote brings together individuals, institutions, brands, and organizations to register new voters across the country and advance civic education for the entire family and voters of every age to build an informed and engaged electorate for today and generations to come. When We All Vote empowers their supporters and volunteers to take action through voting, advocating for their rights, and holding their elected officials accountable. It's all in for 2026 and 2028. Please visit whenweallvote.org to stand up for your rights, voting rights. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. The Michael's Daughter Foundation is dedicated to inspiring youth and resilience through storytelling, arts, filmmaking, and enrichment programs for youth and families in under-resourced communities and system-impacted individuals. The Michael's Daughter Foundation is a 501c3 nonprofit providing free and low-cost arts programs to youth and families from under-resourced communities, both system-impacted youth and those affected by the incarceration of a loved one. 1 in 43 children in America have a parent incarcerated. 70% of those children are expected to end up in prison. Through filmmaking, animation, theater, and writing, they help young people express themselves, build confidence, and imagine new possibilities. Beyond the arts, they offer financial literacy workshops, emergency support, and scholarships. Because thriving takes more than talent, it takes access. To learn more about the impact of Michael Daughters Foundation and how you can be a part of the movement, please visit their website, michaelsdaughterfoundation.com. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Do you owe $10,000 or more in credit card debt or personal loans? With credit card debt at all-time highs, Debt Relief Advocates is urgently notifying consumers of debt relief now being made available, designed to aid consumers with out-of-control credit card debt. Those who qualify and enroll for this relief program will only have to pay back a fraction of what they owe. This is not bankruptcy or a debt consolidation loan. This is a relief program that credit card companies would rather you not know about, as it ends your debt nightmare and saves you lots of money. Consumers owing at least $10,000 in credit card debt or personal loans can now take advantage of this debt relief as the cost of living skyrockets. Debt Relief Advocates has established a relief hotline for you to call to learn what debt reduction you may qualify for, so don't wait. For this free information, call the Relief Hotline at 800-515-4493, 800-515-4493, 800-515-4493.
Now back to more of Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. 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 King Volley, drop the beat. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. KBLA Talk 1580. Download the app.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Stat Me Fridays on KBLA Talk 1580. Our very special guest and regular contributor is none other than our producer and creator, Gina Towns, as well as Diallo Brooks. Diallo, Gina, welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show.
Thank you much.
Gina, can we explore a little bit more into the authorship and the works of Diallo Brooks?
Sure. Diallo, let's talk about your journey and the application of what you've written for today.
Sure. So the first book really focuses in on just my life's journey around leadership, where it came from, my family connections, like Maggie Lena Walker, who was the first woman to found a bank in the United States, whose house is a historic house in Richmond, Virginia, run by the U.S. Park Service. The lessons I've learned from her civil rights legacy and trajectory, from the legacy of my mother, who you know, Jesse, who's been a leader in the space as well. The lessons I learned in college, going to a PWI. I didn't go to a HBCU like many of my family members had, and the need to really push forward around the issues that I cared about. Being a urban kid in a rural environment, making sure the things that existed there that catered to me was a part of that leadership journey. The reluctancy, playing basketball, learning from sports, and then learning within the spaces I was in when I first interned with the Rainbow Coalition. And then later when I actually worked for the sister organization Citizenship Education Fund as well, doing advanced work, Jesse, for your father, and working with you directly when I was interning at the Rainbow Coalition. Those lessons were invaluable lessons that shaped who I was, right? I learned how to do the work. I learned how to connect with community and ground community. And so that was a part of my trajectory, and later experiences as well. And what I tell people all the time is that I've learned from good experiences and bad experiences. What I tried to do is not carry forward the things I didn't like when I saw leadership, and carry forward the positive values that I felt were super important. And this book really leans into owning your own leadership journey. Each of us have a different journey, to lean into that, to learn the lessons that life teaches us, but also keep forward thinking the North Star, why we do this work as we go forward. And the second book is really focused on Black men specifically. Black men are needed in leadership spaces, but also we have to know how to be in those leadership spaces, to mentor each other, to support each other, to stand alongside the Black women that are leading in spaces. So it's really like a lesson for Black men around leaning into the leadership, but we need them specifically in the social justice fight as well.
I just purchased both copies of
Thank you.
Of your book, and I'm so honored and privileged that, according to at least the way in which I purchased them on Amazon.com, that they are being mailed to me as we speak. Gina, an important book, particularly for Black men.
Absolutely. I am excited about your journey in particular, Diallo, because you have light in a dark place. The way that you approach people and situations seems to me to be something that can be very valuable for people to imitate in this day. So I wish you well with this book. And
The Bold, Quiet Warrior, Diallo Brooks. Diallo, we have about 2 minutes before we come forward. I know you want to make a point. Please make it, and then offer our listeners a word of hope.
Definitely. And one thing I just want to say about Bold, Quiet Warrior really quickly is it actually comes from my name, Diallo Brooks, or Diallo Kamal. Diallo means bold, and Kamal means quiet warrior. So that is how I came up with the name for that book. Yeah.
Oh, fantastic.
got to be careful about what you name your children.
Exactly.
Or they name their children.
Right.
Applies to be careful about naming your children. You got a lottery ticket with your name, Diallo.
Well, I'm just trying to do my part in this world. And as I'm, kind of lean into the positive thought before we go forward, I know everything seems daunting. I know the recent Supreme Court decision and troubles that are happening around the world loom large for us, but it's often in those moments that we're really able to organize when the pressure is put on us. To really let the diamond shine within us, to let the jewels within our community live strong and push forward. And we develop the tools necessary to push back and create a better and reimagine a better world.
Diallo, I'm so proud of you. So grateful for your leadership. So grateful to be learning from you and to be under your tutelage. And Gina Towns, thank you very much for our very special guest for a wonderful week of work. And exciting guests, not only last week, but even more exciting guests next week.
Well, we thank you, Jesse, for your knowledge, your work, and we want to thank Tavis Smiley, KBLA Talk 1580.
More when we come forward. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. You've been listening to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. Until Monday. We'll see you then.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.